Good evening and welcome back to the live stream. We're joined by Father Altman tonight. Always a pleasure, Father. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have him in person about 1 year after we first met in the same home.
Yes.
We did our first live stream together. We've had several streams since then, but I'm very glad to have you on tonight.
What a privilege. As always.
The privilege is mine. The privilege is mine. But there's been some new installments in the Altman saga. There's been a lot that we need to cover. And hold on. Are we getting audio feedback?
I hear us after the fact.
It's an echo.
Several seconds.
Yeah. I like the sound of my own voice, but not that much.
No, I don't like the sound of my own voice.
Audio.
People are already writing little notes to us.
Yeah, you have a lot of fans.
Oh,
you have a lot. We have some questions.
We get used because we share the faith.
Exactly.
And so that's the way I like to think of it. It's not me that they love. It's the faith, the truth of the faith.
It's the traditionalist message.
Yeah. This is what martyrs died for, and it's what Jesus gave to us. That's what they love.
Absolutely.
And what they're not hearing is that truth from so many.
Yeah.
Sheep without a shepherd, like Jesus said.
Exactly. And that's why little live streams and media events like this get so much attention, because there's a lot of people hungry for the message. And unfortunately, there's very few fountains for the
starving
message.
For it, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just so the big, there's big brouhaha stirred up 3 weeks ago by the lacrosse tribute. Are we just still just chatting, or are you about to ask some questions? I didn't know. I didn't know when this really started in full force.
We're going. We're live.
Okay.
I'll ask my sort of questions that I want to get into once we fix the audio. It's very distracting. But
okay. That's what's going on. Well, I'll just tell you this part then while we're waiting.
Sure.
That's so the Lacrosse Tribune writers there who hate me, and I said once, and I was talking to somebody out of the blue in the last couple of days, and they said, well, these people that are doing this, I think it was Milo Yiannopoulos.
Oh yeah,
was it him?
Is he converted?
No, it wasn't him. It wasn't him. Oh no, he's always been Catholic. There's never been a time he wasn't Catholic.
Okay.
He was molested by a priest, and he stayed Catholic, and he blames the bishops, and he blames Jorge Bergoglio, Bishop of Rome, for not doing the right thing with regard to such people. And he's got just cause to say so.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I forgot what I was saying. The newspaper.
Yes.
Okay. So no, it was a person who's very good at this kind of stuff. I don't even pretend to be. And this person was telling me that there are two kinds of people out there in the media. And one are the reporters who are kind of they're not very well informed. They're just trying to make a name for themselves so they can possibly scratch and claw and make some money. But they also get deeply involved in the immorality, and they hate religion because the faith reminds them, it convicts them of their sinfulness. So I was thinking, just on my own, I was thinking, well, I just wonder how much these women that are writing such nasty things about me, that have never talked to me personally, they just don't like the message, the truth. They blame me for the truth. I said, it's not my message, right? I thought, well, I wonder how much immorality is in their life. How much do they artificially contracept? How many abortions have they had? What have they done that they're so against the teaching of the Catholic? Because it's always about morality. I want to be my own, that joke about, that there's a shortage to the vocation of priesthood, but there's no shortage to the vocation of papacy because everybody wants to be their own little pope. Yeah. So that's exactly what's going on here. So they decided one day, completely out of the blue, to my complete shock, that they were going to attack me again. But what was really good about this is that they started out the attack. First of all, they said he's under fire again. No, I was under no fire. They were the fire. They decided to create a fire. Yeah. And little did they know the result of this was going to be this widespread support that first of all, I didn't see the attack coming, nor did I see the support coming.
Right.
But they started out by saying, this is the guy that said you can't be Catholic and a Democrat. And I thought, thank you. So I thanked them publicly. Thank you very much for spreading the message again in a way that I never could.
Yeah.
So they think they're trying to be mean to you, and they're just shooting themselves in the foot. Bang, bang, bang. Right? Yeah. It's just, they're foolish.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but yeah, there you go.
It makes sense though that a profession that is these days overtly averse to truth
completely.
Would take issue with somebody like yourself who's trying to tell the highest order of truth.
Yeah. Well, that's well put. It's very nicely put.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time around other journalists.
Yeah, there you go. Sure. Yeah.
But looks like we've got our audio feedback fixed. So back to sort of the saga of Father Altman. Since we've spoken last, I understand that the church has asked for your resignation.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So let's see. What is today? June? It's June, right?
Yep, it's June the 9th.
June 9th. Okay. So sometime, I don't know, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, Bishop sent a letter. This is the official thing that they do. It's like the bishop's playbook. The USCCB has their playbook. Yeah. And so when you see all these priests around the country that are celebrating the traditional mass, that are being faithful to the unchanged and unchangeable truth, when you see them being separated out, targeted individually, separated, what's that called? Divide and conquer. Yeah. Yeah. And they're knocking them off one by one. They don't realize we're going to get together and say enough is enough. They don't get it yet. They don't have enough brains in their head, some of these shepherds of the church, right?
Have those conversations started happening, you and other?
Oh, yes. They didn't just start happening. We're well aware of what's going on, and they're in for a surprise. They don't even see it coming because they just don't have it. They're such little tyrants, most of them. So anyway, so I get this letter, standard letter, and it accused me of being divisive and ineffective. Did you see? Some people sent me the big red D, like a high school letter jacket. I held that up at mass last weekend, and everybody laughed. I said, "Listen, I wear that with pride. Yeah, because we're supposed to be divisive. That is our job. If we're not being divisive between lie and the truth and the lie, sheep and the goats, then we're not doing our job." Exactly. So anyway, so I get this letter, says I was divisive. Yeah. So thank you. I can't thank you enough for calling me divisive. Thank you.
The church supposed to be divided from the sinful world?
Exactly. We're not. We're supposed to. And Jesus said, if they hated me, they're going to hate you. So go ahead and hate me for being divisive. Thank you. I take that as a compliment. Thank you. But then the other thing was ineffective. And that looks so ridiculous.
Well, you've grown your parish.
The numbers
spreading the message
through the roof. We just had. So I said the last time I talked about it, I said 4 new families joined that week. There have been at least two that I know of families that have joined since then. So, and what is it? We're closing on 50 in the last 15 months.
That's families, not individuals.
Families, individuals. Yes, families, not individuals. And so glory be to God. I mean, that's what's happening. And then people. So our play collection is equals basically the amount that the parishioners, because we're getting visitors. Why? Because I'm actually not divisive. I'm uniting people of faith, people of real faith, come together because they're not getting that faith in many other places. But ineffective, I couldn't be more. Listen, I wouldn't even know if I tried to be effective. If I actually set out to be, I wouldn't even know how to start. Oh, you know what? But I don't have to. All I have to do is teach the truth, the unchanged and unchangeable truth. And truth has its own effectiveness. So if there's some effective going on here, it's all truth, right? So to say I'm ineffective is absolutely stupid. I mean, it is. It's just stupid.
It's a good way to put it.
I'll tell you what is ineffective is when you have 75% of Catholics don't come to 80% now, don't go to the church anymore. Oh, you're really effectively teaching those people the faith, aren't you? Or 80% now don't believe in the real presence. How about that for ineffective? You know what? 100% of the people at my parish believe in the real presence. Why? Because Jesus said so. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm talking to Ken because I'm just mad. And these people need to know that truth is spoken. And to call me ineffective is a farce. But that's the USCCB playbook, right? It's like when we're in seminary, they say, "Oh, you're too rigid," and now they're saying you're too divisive. These are the little buzzwords which are ill-defined. Amorphous, ambiguous words that then they try to use against you. Bring it on. Hey, the gloves are dropped. Okay. They dropped long ago when you started attacking me. I am divisive and I'm proud of it. And I am so effective. It's putting you to shame.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So they ask you to resign. Yeah. I get the feeling that you're not going to do that.
I can't. Well, because we were talking beforehand, but a pastor has, because the church has recognized over 2,000 years, there's been a bunch of little tyrants, and the pastors need their protection from these little tyrants. So to resign would put me at the mercy. Now, I like Bishop Callahan. He knows that. I have publicly praised him. Why? For one reason, he kept our churches open, and he let his priests be pastors to their people.
That was the issue that started all of this.
That was the issue that started all, because so many locked the churches. They denied people, as I said so many times. And it just deeply moves me every single time I say it. What kind of father won't feed his child? If you were my son, what kind of father would I be if I didn't feed you?
Not a very good one.
Let's say you're dying and I won't anoint you. What kind of father? Well, I wouldn't be, would I? And yet, what did they do? What did the majority of these shepherds of the church do? They locked the churches and they denied the people the sacrifice, even priests that wanted, that would have risked their lives to feed their children, to bring grace to their lives of their children. These lousy brood of vipers denied them that, because and everybody was afraid to do it, because they thought, oh, that then this viper would come down on them like they're trying to come down on me now, right? Yeah. But what kind of father won't feed his child? Let me tell you, if you're a father of the church and you don't feed your child, get out, because you're not Catholic. Get out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just makes me sick. So anyway, so I'm ineffective. No, I'll tell you who's ineffective. Those shepherds that didn't feed their children.
Yeah, the churches that have their doors closed and locked are the ones that are infected, not the ones that are,
right. And that goes right. And that's every color of cassock. I remember seeing Rome, right? Nobody present. The entire St. Peter's Square is empty. Oh, because everybody's a little afraid of getting sick from something that 99.9% of people recover without hardly a symptom. Right. Cowardice. You know what? Isn't that always the case? They're cowards. Cowardice makes people turn and run. You know, at the end of Mass, we have the Litany of Saints. We have Charles Borromeo, who anointed people in the midst of the bubonic plague.
Actually dangerous.
Right? Dangerous. That it was very contagious and deadly lethal. And he's anointing people and giving them viaticum. And we're afraid to give people Holy Communion. Are you kidding me? Shame on you. Anybody who didn't feed their children. And then and Aloysius Gonzaga, he was 21. And he knew going in, he was going to go help these people with the plague. He entered, like he started doing it in January. He was dead by June. And then look at Damien and Malachi, that great saint. He knew going in, he was working with lepers, and it wasn't an if, it was a when. It took him 11 years to get it in a bad way, and by 13 years he was dead. But he went in, he ministered to those people. That's what we're called to do, to sacrifice ourselves like Christ did for our people. How dare they try to stand in the way of any shepherd? You want to be a coward? You go back to your rectory then. You go back to your bishop's house and you stay there, but don't get in my way.
So you're not going to resign. They've asked for your resignation.
That's how this whole diatribe started. You asked him, how can I resign? Why would I resign? You resign from what? It's not an option. No.
So then what's the next step? What will they do to you when you don't resign?
Well, they could just leave me alone. Listen, the thing is, ideal. Here's all, Bishop Callahan, here's a little recommendation. All he had to do to put an end to this, and it would have, it's to simply say this. I may not agree with everything Father Altman says, although he has spoken the undeniable truth, as I have said before publicly. I don't like his manner and tone, but there are people who do. He does minister to a legitimate constituency of faithful Catholics. In fact, he ministers to the Catholics who actually do believe in the real presence. Right?
Very devout Catholics.
Very devout Catholics. All he had to say is, I stand behind him. End of story. Right? That would have shut up the complainers, who still complain now, because it looks like, once they're like sharks in water, right? They smell blood. They think they smell me like blood, like I have fear. Oh, you've made a mistake there. I'm just telling you now. So like sharks circling, because they think I'm bloodied. And then of course, so them, and then the people in the church too, the faithless people in the church. So they think there's an issue. All he had to do to put an end to it, and there wouldn't have been this public backlash against them, right? I mean, in two weeks' time, there was well over 600. I think it's getting close to 700,000 for the legal defense, which I'm going to share with other priests who are being assaulted by these tyrants. That none of this would have happened. All he had to do was stand up and say, I don't agree with his manner and tone, but many faithful Catholics do, and so I stand with Father Altman. But like Bishop Strickland did.
Exactly. But it's just like the journalists, where they want to write a hit piece on somebody, and by taking action against somebody, they end up magnifying the problem.
Yes, right. And what they've done, actually, I thank them. Thank you for your response, because remember that the Streisand effect. You know what that is?
Yep.
Okay, so that's what they've done. They've done the Streisand effect. First of all, I wasn't looking for it. I was just minding my own business. This shocked me every bit as much as that first one did. Because remember, I started out. You remember this? I thought, I didn't know Alpha News, right? And I just thought, so Rebecca was going to come down and take a few videos, and that third one, which is the one she used, you still not heard the first two. That's the one she used, and that was thrown together at the last minute because I knew she wanted 3, and I didn't have anything because I was so busy busy trying to feed my flock, feed my family.
Be a priest.
Be a priest. And so I threw that one together, and that's the one she used, and that's the one that made all the notoriety. So that caught me by surprise then too. But I thought, remember, I think I said this in the interview. I thought, okay, so it's on Alpha News. I didn't even know where that is, basically. And when I saw it, I think it was like 41 people had seen it at that point.
Yeah.
And now I think it is over 1.2 million.
Yeah,
that have seen it. And they keep referring to it. The left-wing media, like in this whole they keep talking about it. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, keep it up. Hit me with your best shot daily. You know,
that's the best when the hit piece includes the video that then gets views.
Right.
Oh,
I know. I just wow. It's probably above 1.2 million now because people have gone back to look at what did this guy say.
Yeah.
So just too funny. They just like I said, shoot themselves in the foot. Bang, bang, bang.
Mm-hmm. But tell us about canon law. Because I was not terribly aware of this before I started looking into your whole situation. And I feel like a lot of our viewers probably are not either.
Yeah. Most people don't. Most priests don't. But and we had to take it in seminary. 2 semesters, I think of it, and I loved it. Okay. I love law school, but most other law students didn't. So canon law.
Does it give you sort of an opportunity to appeal their attempts to dismiss you?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, and it's because in the past, canon law was developed because, by the way, I just learned this the other day, that canon law is the oldest law on the planet, basically, because it started way long time ago. As the church experiences developed, it developed the canon law as well. And there were times, because humans are humans, we're all sinners, myself included, maybe the worst sinner in the house. And I don't say that lightly. I actually mean that. By the way, when I'm standing there with all these people, they tell you that in seminary. Listen, guys, don't get a big head, because those people in the pews, and especially the ones in the front row, they're holier than you, right? So, and I don't dispute that. Anyway, so canon law developed whereby they couldn't just be little tyrants to the pastors. And you know why? It's because not so much the pastors. I don't care what you do. But I'm the father to these people. I have fed them when they needed it the most. I did not abandon them like you did. And so if you can have a tyrant up there that starts ripping priests around, tearing apart the family, I mean, that's our family. Yeah. We're supposed to love them like a family. That's why these people can't love the families. Right. They can't. If you love someone, you will die for them. Yeah. Isn't that what Jesus? No, what did Jesus say? There's no greater love, right? Yeah. So when you get some tyrant up there in a mitre, Michael Vorse called them monsters and miters. Well, if the shoe fits, they don't like to hear it, do they? No. But if the shoe fits, did you feed your family? So see, I'm sorry, I just get so mad about this because I love my family. Because you legitimately care about you care about them. So they developed this canon law so that you can't just rip apart the family from the children of all ages and their father. So if someone wants to get rid of you to make sure that they're not just acting like a petty tyrant, as some do, they have this process, and it's just an appeal. So Bill O'Reilly was on my case the other day, and I think, come on, don't give me a hard time. Right. But he's saying, well, you're supposed to be obedient. Listen, I wasn't ordered to resign, and he cannot order me to resign. Right. He simply made a request. But he can fire you? Not really, no. Not really? No. Okay. No. So this might work, this tactic that you're taking of just simply refusing to resign. I don't look at it as like a work or not work, but it's just the process. Okay. And so Mr. O'Reilly got it wrong. When he suggested, he kind of inferred in this way that he was saying it, that I was being disobedient. He says, well, that's your boss, isn't it? Listen, Bill, like Mr. O'Reilly, it's not like in the secular world. Right. This is vocation, which is entirely different. Right. And so obedience, and as I did say to him, I think I quoted St. Maximilian Kolbe, the minute a bishop strays into error land, you don't have to obey that at all, not even the slightest bit, as St. Maximilian Kolbe said. Himself a martyr, himself gave his life for another person, right? Literally, specifically, voluntarily. So as a priest is supposed to do. So anyway, so it was not being even slightest, not even remotely disobedient to Bishop Callahan when I simply said, I will not honor your request. Rather, we can go through the process. So the process is, if he really thinks somehow I'm being divisive, which of course he should be complimenting me for that, or being ineffective, which is patently false, then he has to I think the process is, and I said this before, and I know the canon lawyer doesn't like me to talk about it. But I've said the cat's out of the. Is that it? Cat's out of the bag?
Yeah. Are those lawyers lay people or the canon lawyers?
So not always.
Okay.
I think maybe the majority of them are also clerics.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, mine in particular is a layperson. Anyway, so he can, I guess, theoretically appoint an administrator.
Okay.
He does have that authority to appoint, but he cannot remove me as pastor.
What's an administrator?
Administrator is just someone who administrates the church and celebrates the sacraments, takes care of them in a pastor's absence. Okay. So I'll be a pastor. Mm-hmm. I'll just be if this is the way it all plays out, okay. And it's anyone's guess. If I were a betting man, I might say, well, bet on this. Yeah. That there'll be an administrator appointed, and that means some other priest will have to take care of my people. Okay. Which is, if he has one thing over me, it's that I love my family, right. And I've proven it. And you know what? They know it, right? I did everything I could as a father to help them in their time of need, and they know it. And you know what's so amazing is that all the support I'm getting from around the globe, mm-hmm. They know it too. And they know it because their pastors weren't.
Yeah, they see the contrast.
Yeah, they see the contrast. So anyway, so I'd still be the pastor. Okay. That takes through the appeal process. Okay. It cannot make me not a pastor. Okay. Until the process is over. And who knows how long that'll take. I've heard a year to 5 years. Sure. In which time then I'll be the pastor without any particular duties. Mm-hmm. In which case he will have unleashed me. He will have set me free. I think if anything, these bishops that are like after him to like, you've got this rogue priest over here. You better get him in line. They ought to be very keen. They might get what they asked for.
What would happen then if you're a pastor without a specific place to be tethered to?
Right. I would write the books that they're trying to have me sign a contract to write these books. Mm-hmm. One of which. I think I've said this before. Maybe this is the first publicly
Alpha News exclusive
that the first working title, which I already have begun to work on, mm-hmm. And write, mm-hmm. Lies our bishops have told us. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You set me free. You set me free, and that's the first title I'm going to do. Right. And you know what? I'm going to start with Cardinal Dearden, who was an apostate out of Detroit that started Call to Action, an apostate organization. But I would like to know how many of the 200 bishops in this country have called him out and called him out the apostate that he was. I'd like to know how many of you have stood up and publicly said that guy was an apostate, and his spawn, which includes, like, for instance, Bernardine and McCarrick. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Have you called them out? Well, they didn't even call out McCarrick. Yeah. They protect their own. They're like this boys club, right? Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. So get ready for that book. Get ready, bishops. You've asked for it.
Yeah. And the public has a sense of that.
Oh, they know. Listen,
they just need someone to come in and confirm it.
Exactly. They wouldn't listen to me for 2 seconds. They wouldn't be watching this interview, right? Mm-hmm. If they didn't know every word I said is true.
Exactly.
If they didn't know it, and they do. And these people, what are they living with blinders on? Are they that blind that they can't tell that the people have had it with them?
Right.
Because they haven't come out and called out people like, well, look at James Martin running around as he does. Mm-hmm. Bishop Strickland, mm-hmm. He stands up against them, right? Mm-hmm. Look what's going on in Rome and in Germany and all that. Yeah. As if all those German bishops and cardinals, right? They're not divisive. Yeah. Have I heard one bishop in this world call out them for being divisive or ineffective in teaching the truth of the Catholic Church? Mm-hmm. No. Have they? No. Have you heard one? Tell me one. Listen, I'll publicly say this because I will. Bishop Strickland, thank you, because you're a bishop of the Catholic Church and you teach the truth. God bless you now and always. Mm-hmm. Those people down in Tyler, Texas are lucky to have him. Yeah. They are very lucky because, well, you can see, tell me the name. Give me the name. I'll come right back. I'll drive back up here tomorrow. And I will say, this bishop and this bishop, you know what? I haven't heard any of you call out, look at the guy down in Lexington, Kentucky. Yeah. Right? Look what he did. He's the flag he flew above his cathedral through the month of June. Mm. Oh, I just saw this. This is really good. Yeah, are we off track? Because I can talk for hours, I guess.
Oh, whatever you want to talk about.
Okay, so I just saw this. Sin is sin. Right. There are 7 deadly sins, one of which is pride. So I'm not going to wear pride on my chest.
You'll wear divisive.
I'll wear divisive. Right. And you know what? Here's the best part. So not only am I going to have a D, I'm going to have a V for vindicated. That's coming. I'm going to have a massive V up there too. Vindicated because I am. Not because I'm so special, because I'm only teaching the truth, right? And the truth vindicates all. Well, anyway, so the U.S. Embassy in the Vatican City has flown that massive rainbow flag. You know where they're not flying? You know where the U.S. Embassy is not?
All the Middle Eastern countries.
Exactly.
They respect Islam, but not
Catholicism. But not Catholicism. And where is the Bishop of Rome? That's your city. That's what you have control over. Bishop of Rome, what is that flag doing on the U.S. Embassy in your city?
Yeah.
Shame on you. You talk about divisive. You are nothing but divisive. Get that flag out of there and get it out now. Or you get out.
And it's not as if local leadership has no say on what these embassies do, because clearly politicians are afraid of the Islamic leaders.
Oh, sure. Completely.
They have leverage.
Completely. Oh, yeah.
Catholic leaders are afraid to use their leverage.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you got Germans doing what they're doing, those bishops and cardinals over there, some of Mark's resigned. Maybe he's finally realized that his agenda has fallen flat.
Yeah.
But yeah, look what that Stowe. But Stowe, if you remember, Stowe, are you listening? He's the guy that ripped into Nick Sandmann.
Yeah. Oh.
He put in a letter in the newspaper ripping into Nick Sandmann.
Yeah.
Called him a racist. How dare you, Bishop Stowe? How dare you?
Yeah.
You're no shepherd of the Catholic Church. Get out.
Yeah.
Where the people, the faithful people, are sick of you. And he said, no, where are the other bishops? Talking about Bishop Stowe. How come you're not getting him in line? How come you're not trying to say that he's divisive or ineffective? He's destroying the church and you're letting him. You know what that is? Complicity. Your silence is complicity, and you will answer for that.
So not to get too far back into just logistics, but why is it that you couldn't publish the book now? You say that if they cut you free, then you're going to publish the book.
Well, it takes time to write. And I'm busy feeding my family, unlike the rest of you.
Right. So it's a time thing. It's not sort of legal
it's a time thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. But they're in the works. The books are
yes. Yeah. There's 4 books that one particular publisher wants me to finish writing.
Are they related to each other or just sort of standalone?
They're Catholic.
They're all Catholic. Of course. Yeah,
so I guess in that sense, they're very much related to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's say you go through this canon law system.
Yeah.
I understand that the courts are sort of stacked, right? You can appeal it higher and higher and higher until you get to the Vatican.
Well, that wouldn't be the way to look at it. No, it's not like the U.S. courts where you can go through the state court system. You go to the court of original. It's called court of original something. It's been a while since I just had to renew my lawyer's license.
Oh yeah.
I was late because I forgot. I kept thinking, did I do it? And they charged me an extra $100 to renew it. But it's good to have. Listen, if this doesn't work out, I have to make a living. Anyway, so
I think the book sales will keep you afloat.
Yeah, I hope so. Anyway, so you have the court of original jurisdiction, I think maybe it's called, and then you have the appellate court, and then you have the Supreme Court in each state. And then if you don't get what you need there, and it's a federal issue that you can actually bring to the Supreme, you can ask for you appeal, or you ask for to be allowed to present it to the Supreme Court of the U.S. In the church. I'm not an expert.
Okay.
Yeah, but there really is your original decision in the diocese, and then it's Rome. So Rome itself has a couple court systems. One, I think, tends to deal with marriage issues.
Okay.
And so in each diocese, they have a little tribunal to deal with questions of the nullity of a marriage, which is not Catholic divorce. It's saying that you weren't married in the first place because something was wrong, a defect, a legitimate and profound defect at the time when you intended to get married or had this attempt to get married.
Sure.
And so there's a section, I think there's 3 chunks over there. There's a section that deals with that over there. There's a total of 3 sections, ultimately overseen, I think, by what's called the Signatura.
Okay. And
the prefect of the Signatura, which Cardinal Burke used to be until the Bishop of Rome came along and didn't really care for him too much. So I'm not sure that my canon lawyer, that's why we pay them the big bucks. I'm not sure the fullness of the process that takes place. Perhaps after this interview, they'll put it on this fast track. I don't know. Listen, like I said, though, tell me one word I haven't said that isn't true. You know, they can't.
They'll try.
Well, what they'll try to do is they'll just try to silence me.
Right.
Because they don't want to be embarrassed. Oh, now you're being what's that? Divisive.
Divisive.
Right? No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not the divisive one. You're the divisive one, Bishop Stowe, because you chose to publish that thing in the Lexington Journal. You did it. It's all on you, buddy.
Is there anything in Scripture that says you shouldn't be divisive, or you have to have these certain manner and tone temperaments?
No, there's nothing in Scripture that says don't. As a matter of fact, all the sacred Scripture, Old Testament and New, and we know Jesus made the whips. And who did he use the whips on mostly? The leadership, right?
Yeah.
That's, and what was going on in their temples, what they allowed to go on in their temples. Oh, yeah. And what did John the Baptist call them? Brood of vipers.
Right.
So, so every now and then the word vermin slips out because that's a derogatory, it's a term defining them as, well, not proper. We all have our words of choice, right?
Yeah.
Jesus used brood of vipers. St. John the Baptist used brood of vipers. Jesus also used white sepulchres. What does that even mean to us these days? Right? But what you do is you use the words of your culture to describe really bad behavior. Right. And if that's my word of choice, get over it. You've got your own. I'm not going to complain about your own. Get over it. Yeah, I can't remember why we went off on that tangent.
Oh, we're talking about if there's any biblical basis for these manner and tone objections.
As a matter of fact, I have. And I send it out in all these letters. Listen, people, I got like maybe 2,000 letters in the last couple of weeks. I'm trying to answer them all, but I did 50 the other day, like 2 days ago. I did 50, and 100 more came in.
Wow.
I can't. Please, I apologize. I'm trying to get out an answer to every single one. I guess if they lay me off, I have time to write answer all the correspondence too. But I hope that things like this are a means of answering all of you out there that for the questions that you have, that's what I'm trying to do, is write a personal letter to you saying, I'm your father and I will feed you.
Even on our little show, we open it up for questions. We send, all of our email subscribers, would you like to ask a question to Father Altman? And we're inculcated with dozens of questions from across the U.S. Right. It's really incredible.
Yeah. Well, glory be to God. All glory be to God. It's not about me. It never has been about me. I was accused of that. My own bishop accused me of that. I'm just trying to get, what was it? Views. So I'm just saying this. I'm just saying this stuff so I get more views.
Well, I like getting views, but that's clearly not your motivation.
Well, I wouldn't even know. Like if you said, okay, sit down, write this little thing out to get another 100 views.
Right.
I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah.
But so it's not me that they're viewing. As I said before, it's the truth that they're viewing. And it's resonating with them. That's what these shepherds of the church are not getting.
Right.
What they should do is they should look in the mirror and they say, the people are listening to this guy. Why? Well, what aren't we saying?
Even if it was for views, how is that bad? A priest is crafting his message in a social media environment to spread the gospel to more people.
Right.
That seems like a good thing.
Yeah. In fact, that original article 3 weeks ago or something where they started attacking me.
Right.
He has too many people in church. That was part of the deal, right? He has too many. He's violating protocol. He has too many people in church. Yeah. There's no such thing on God's green earth. And any shepherd of the church that says, anyways, get out. You're not Catholic. There's no such thing as have too many people in those pews. But by the way, I didn't. It was a big lie, as media does. They lie. And in fact, their own picture revealed their lie. He's got 50 people. Like in those first 7 pews, there could have been, I think, 140 total if there were no restrictions.
Right.
75% of that. So what's that? 75 plus about 100 or something.
Alpha News math.
Yeah, right. And then 50% according to the diocesan policy at the time. So that was still 70. Right. So even by their own picture and by their own complaints, right? Yeah. They said I had 170 people come up to communion. So that means all these little kids that I blessed too, right?
Right.
And you can have a family. I have several families of 7, 8, 9, 10 people.
Yeah.
Right. And so they can sit close together, right? They sit close together at home. And so they said they counted 170 people. Like that was a bad number. The fact of the matter is that the church holds about 500. So I could have had, even at 75%, that's 375, and at 50%, that's still 250. So even by their own, but they still lied and they said I violated protocol, which I did not. At one of the biggest masses of the whole year.
Not only are these people coming out and trying to nitpick somebody, these journalists who are probably atheists are coming out and trying to nitpick someone who's just trying
who can't stand the truth.
Yeah. They're just trying to spread the truth, but they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
They're lying. They're dishonest.
You're not surprised by that, are you.
No, I know.
And that's rampant in the media.
Oh, of course.
Lying and dishonesty, fake.
Fake news.
Listen, that business, when Trump says fake news,
Mhm.
is why did that resonate with people? Because they know it's true.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, in a very similar way that your message resonates with people, because they know it's true, and then somebody comes along and confirms it, puts it in succinct language, and it speaks to them on a deeper level.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So this canon law stuff, I'm still very curious about this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry.
There's been a lot of money raised for your legal defense fund.
Mm-hmm.
I did not realize until the advent of this fundraising that it costs money to get through this system.
Oh, it does.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's well.
So what happens to priests that don't have a legal defense fund? Can they just not advocate for themselves?
Pretty much. They're at the mercy, right? And that's another reason why I think it's so stupid. Why do they have to be afraid of me? If you're doing your job, you don't have to fear me.
Right.
What would you have to fear me for?
Right.
Oh, because I will point out when you're not doing your job, when you're not feeding your family.
Right.
So unfortunately, honestly, until this all happened with me, and it only happened 3 weeks ago. Wasn't it 3 weeks ago? Is it about 3 weeks ago?
Fairly recent.
Yeah, it was very recent. Who knew? I certainly didn't know. I remember thinking clearly, because I knew roughly at this point what it was going to cost. How am I going to do this?
Right.
And somehow these donations had gotten up to $3,000, and I thought, oh, well, at least I can at least get it started. Yeah. Right. And then now you see what it's becoming. And of course now it's driving the left crazy, because they're now putting that in the look at this guy has now got X number of dollars, and what's he going to do?
Well, yeah, just to clear the air and sort of respond to some of these allegations, what does become of the money? Yeah.
So far as I know, right. First of all, who knew? And why are you mistreating me? How am I going to know that people are going to donate? Yeah. How am I even going to know that? I didn't ask for a penny. It just happened. Right.
That's true.
And so and I've been shocked by every penny that still comes in. So when they first set it up, we're trying to figure out, well, okay, so we didn't know what the future held, but we knew that if I get canceled, as it were, maybe it would affect my health insurance or even the ability to put food on the table. I said, I drive this, my Jeep is 14 years old. I bought it used. I'm perfectly content with it. I know what they think. What are you trying to infer that somehow I'm going to buy a Ferrari? No, I saw one today. I thought there's one around here. You could not even give me one of those, because I just think, well, I might get a scratch, right? No, just give me my old Jeep. And then I had a woman run into me the other day. So okay, well, scratch the wheel. So what? So try and impute. Oh, there's big money. See, you know what they're doing? They're imputing to me their own weakness and sinfulness. Like, if I suddenly got X number of dollars, $500,000, so what would I do with it? Oh, surely he's going to do the same thing. Listen, if money, I would never have become a priest if money was my issue. Right. I was making a lot. I was making a lot more money before. Do you know when I first came to La Crosse? So there's like 196 dioceses, I think, plus a military diocese. Sure. When I first started out as a priest, from my salary and what I was making as a lawyer, we were the third worst paid diocese in the nation. Yeah. I tell you how pathetic it was. It was like you get $800 as a starting salary, and then for every year you're a priest, you get $5 more per month. So if you're a priest for 50 years, you get your 800 or whatever base salary. It was $895 maybe, and then for 50 years you get $250 more. Wow. Now that is certainly a drawing card to the priesthood. So that's what it was when I started out.
3 tanks of gas.
Yeah, really. Thank you, all you Democrats who voted for Joe Biden, because now I just had to pay $2.99 a gallon. Yeah. I remember paying 98 cents a gallon under Trump. Yeah. Thank you, Democrats. Yeah. Socialists. You see what socialism gets you. Oh, you haven't felt the full brunt of it yet. Anyway. Yeah. So what am I going to do with it? Well, so as stated in the original, the people that put it together, well, of course, for legal fees, for the canonical defense, which I understand could be well over 60. And because you have to have all the experts on your side. Otherwise the apparatus will overrun you, because the apparatus, there's a swamp in the church, just like there is in the government. They will just use and abuse you, spit you out, unless you can prepare a proper defense, which by the way, that's actually what this does, I suppose, is lets the people know what's going on. Otherwise it's, So,
because a lot of people like me hadn't even heard of this concept of canon law or the fact there's an internal court system until we learned about you.
Right. So, but there is, and then should I somehow be without income because I've been canceled? Then how would I pay for health insurance? So that's part that can be part of what it's used for. It says so right in the when the people donated. It said that.
Yeah, it's in the
and living expenses. So I mean, just to move, is I don't know what it costs. He says years ago it was $5,000 just to move. My whole rectory of my stuff. I guess. So and listen, I'm not as young as you anymore, and I can't listen. I was put in the hospital when I moved from one rectory to the other up in Wisconsin Rapids because I killed my back. So anyway, so that, and then, but then we're trying to figure out, and again, it's only been like 3 weeks and who knew what this was going to come about. But we're trying to, the talk has been with a couple of people, well, can we set up some sort of a trust to help other priests? Because I'm really fortunate, thanks to you guys, that people actually,
no, it's thanks to the people. People were naturally going to listen to your message, but we put the camera there.
But you did. And so that's how come they know. But we're going to try to help out these other priests that are being, there's that one in, can I say it? Rockford, Malloy, I think is his name, right? So I happen to know Father Parker. He's a good man. He's a solid man. He's a true speaker. And he's sidelined him, but he's sidelined a whole bunch of other priests. There's at least, I think, 10 or a dozen. And he's in for a surprise. But he's a spawn of Rembrandt Weekland. Do you know the story about him? He said the Archbishop in Milwaukee that paid $500,000 to keep his lover quiet. And then he after getting his $500,000, he still spilled the beans. And then he had to resign in disgrace. Well, Malloy is, I think Rembrandt Weekland made him a bishop. Well, birds of a feather. There's just problems here. And even if there isn't, at least people would think there is. So there's the appearance of impropriety. Nevertheless, anyway, he's been like a little tyrant down there. He might like to hear this. Listen, well, then quit being one. Quit acting like one. Father Parker's a good guy, and we're coming to his defense. Oh, yeah. Hello, Bishop Malloy. We'll see you.
I like this concept, though, the idea that there's a very limited number of priests like yourself that are sticking up for these things. If you have some sort of trust. You could maybe, what would the ultimate objective be? To be able to support people like yourself and you get sidelined by the church, or to be able to take a proactive fight, or what's the long-term goal?
Well, again, keeping in mind that who even knew what this goal might even be 3 weeks ago.
We didn't even know this was possible.
We didn't even know. Who knew they were going to come after me again? On false premises. I guess what it has done is, Pope St. Gregory the Great, I think he's about the year 600 in there somewhere. He said, better there be a scandal. Let it come to light. Let the wound be cleansed and heal, than to keep the lie covered up. Let the scandal come. Well, we've been nothing but scandals for 50 years now. And then top it off with the last 15 months where they locked the churches. They destroyed them. They destroyed the churches. They destroyed the faith of the people. Then we had to put up with the last 20 years of revelation of what has been going on, and they still haven't self-corrected, have they? When McCarrick writes this deal about the Dallas Charter, he conveniently left out the bit about bishops, right? Then the U.S. bishops tried to then say, well, maybe we should hold the bishops accountable, right? And what happens? I think DiNardo was president of the USCCB at the time, and he stands up at the annual meeting and says, well, we're going to try to discuss this. We're going to have some dialogue about how we're going to hold the bishops accountable. God forbid we don't do that, right? Well, Supich stands up and interrupts. Says, well, I talked to the Bishop of Rome here last week, and he says, let's just table this until we have a little chat in Rome in like February. Right? So, of course, he interrupts the president of the USCCB. That's what Supich did. And then it does get tabled. And what comes out of Rome? Tell me one thing good as to bishop accountability that came out of Rome when they delayed it another several months. We're still sitting here, it's at least a year later? Nothing. No accountability whatsoever. That's going to change. Oh, yeah. Because you know what? The people have had it.
There's a very apparent double standard, though, where you're right. The Catholic Church has been embroiled in scandals for a very long time.
And the people have had it.
And these accountability efforts have fallen totally flat on their face, but yet they're able to drop the iron hammer on people like you, you know, overnight because some journalists got upset.
Yeah,
it's really disgusting.
And isn't that something? So listen, if these left-wing journalists that are upset with me, why do you even care? How about you ask the
church
people
is not accountable to the secular media?
Exactly. Yeah. If anything, you should be happy because that only points out that he must be speaking the truth, or the left-wing losers wouldn't be after me.
Right.
So how about you look at the good people, the truly faithful people, the people that believe in the faith, the people that believe it is the real presence. After all, it is. And if you don't get out, how about you look at them and say, okay, listen, I'm standing by the priests that are actually speaking the truth. And so are the faithful people.
Right.
So so why they even give two hoots about what they accept? Here's why. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Fasten your seatbelt. It's because they too are on the wrong side of this issue. Because if they were on the right side of this issue, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's an absolute no-brainer. They themselves. That's why they got all upset about me saying you can't be a Catholic and Democrat. And remember, the Democratic Party said you cannot be pro-life and be Democrat. Right. So they did it for me. Thank you. Yeah. Right.
The inverse is also true.
So do you tell me, how does any bishop not dare? Well, there's a bunch of Democrats amongst them, right? How dare they? That's why they hate me.
Right.
Because I just called them out for the non-Catholic, fake Catholics that they are. That's why. Because you want to think, oh, we all believe in the same thing. Well, obviously not. And you know what? The truth is the PNC. If it's true, anything contrary to it's false, right? So life is true. Anti-life, Democratic Party is false. And that's the way it is. But a lot of them are Democrats. Right? That's actually the problem. Now, and that should be a stunner to most people, because as faithful Catholics like to think, oh no, the bishops surely must believe in what we believe, which is the truth handed down to us, unchanged and unchangeable.
Right.
Not so much, no.
The vipers aren't going to come hire the exterminator.
Yes. Oh, that is. Did you just make that up? Yeah. That is I'm going to use that.
Excellent.
That's brilliant. The vipers are not going to hire the exterminators. That's exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. So this kind of segues into a guest question. We see all your questions. We're sorry we can't get to all of them. But we have this question.
Well, I'll stay all night. I think these people probably. We're supposed to have dinner afterwards. It's quite late.
It's got to eat at some point.
We got to eat at some point. I know.
But we've got this question here. We've been talking about corruption in the Catholic Church. Well, somebody asked, quote, would you consider joining the traditional Catholic orders like SSPX or FSSP?
Yeah.
What are those? I'm woefully uninformed.
Oh, you don't know?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are those? Is that an option?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
FSSP is the Fraternity of St. Peter.
Okay.
And they are Catholic, aligned with Rome.
Okay.
That only celebrate the traditional Latin Mass. They call it extraordinary form. There's nothing extraordinary about it. It's the original form. It's the traditional form. It's not the Novus Ordo, which sounds very much like New World Order ever since after Vatican II, which, by the way, Vatican II specifically said in Sacrosanctum Concilium, we're supposed to be praying Latin in church. So all you people who are complaining about it, you don't know what you're talking about, which is often the case. They're just ignorant of truth. So anyway, so as there's also, it's called the Institute of Christ the King, the Sovereign High Priest. So shortened to the Institute. Gotcha. They're another organization that just celebrates the traditional Latin Mass, which there's a movement afoot. I just saw, I think it was Donato. Did I see this correctly? Check me if I'm wrong, because I'm always happy to be fact checked. I only want to talk about the things that I know are true. But I understood that because somebody sent it to me. He sent out a letter where he said, no more Latin Mass in my archdiocese. How dare you? If that's true, turn in your bishop card. You don't deserve to be a bishop. That people are entitled to that. And you don't get, okay, so, what? The Bishop of Rome, Jorge Bergoglio, says, well, we're not going to have Latin Mass anymore. Right. Oh, and that's infallible? Well, what about Pope Benedict? What about St. John Paul II? What about for the last 500 years? Oh, suddenly that's not valid anymore? Yeah. Are you kidding me?
But this is how progressivism works. It takes one stroke of the pen to wipe out 1,000 years of tradition.
Right, exactly. And they will do it and they'll say, well, but we have to listen because he's Pope, right?
Yeah.
But watch this. Tell me this, as a Catholic, who was the first vicar of Christ? What did you learn? Who is the first vicar of Christ?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
Are you kidding? You don't know?
Peter. Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, it wasn't a trick question.
Sure, I thought it might have been.
Yeah, no. I don't know.
Okay.
First vicar of Christ.
Right.
We've learned this from day one, right?
Right.
They're the vicar of Christ on earth. Who was the last vicar of Christ on earth? It's not a trick question. How would I just answer this? Because I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, Benedict XVI.
Gotcha.
Why? Because the current bishop of Rome threw that title away.
Right.
What does the vicar of Christ do? He's the one voice of truth, of the unchanged, unchangeable truth, handing on, unchanged, the deposit of faith. Mm-hmm. That's what the vicar of Christ does. He threw the title out.
Right.
Well, then who is the one voice of truth?
Then what authority does he have? Well, if he threw
Good
away,
question.
That seems to be his central claim to authority.
Good.
Right?
Thank you. Good question. What's in the mind of, what, how's that phrase go? Inquiring Catholics want to know, right? Oh, that's being divisive. That's being disrespectful. Listen, I'm not being disrespectful to not one single bishop. No, you've been disrespectful to us, right? You see, they want to accuse me of being this. No, you've disrespected us, the faithful Catholics. Now, I'm not the one that's disrespectful. You are. You've disrespected your office. When you locked the doors of the church, you disrespected your office, not me by saying it. I'm not being disrespectful by saying it. You're being disrespectful by doing it. Figure that one out.
It is very strange, though, how it's the observer. They're literally assassinating the messenger.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, but then they've done that all over.
Yeah.
The John the Baptist kind of. Yeah, no, people say that. Oh, you sound like John the Baptist. Well, I don't know. I guess he had a good end, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he's in the book.
He's in the book. But he also called them brood of vipers too, by the way. So that was, those were the worst words. If Jesus himself could have come up with a better critique, a better bad word to say to the scribes and Pharisees, besides brood of vipers, do you know why there's people don't get this? Do you know why it's such an important or a profound criticism? It's because who was the original viper? Satan.
Oh, in the garden.
In the garden.
Right.
So when he called them a brood of vipers, he was in essence calling them diabolical demons, vipers from hell.
Something else about vipers getting crushed beneath the heel.
I know, exactly. So no matter, I can't come up with a stronger word than Jesus did.
Right.
So whatever word you don't like, too bad, because Jesus said worse.
I want to get to another viewer question. Okay. I've seen this across social media.
Didn't we answer that last one?
We did.
Okay, all right.
But I've seen this across social media. I've seen it echoed in some of our questions here as well. People say that you talk about martyrdom a lot. I've noticed that. It's very powerful. Not many people talk about martyrdom. Right. Why do you put such emphasis on that topic?
Well, our Lord Jesus said, unless you pick up your cross daily and follow me, you are not worthy to be my disciple. In other words, you're not getting to heaven.
Right.
So what is a cross? A cross of death, a cross of martyrdom. That's what it was. The cross, he didn't say, I make this joke all the time. He didn't say, pick up your picnic basket and meet me at the beach. Right. He said, pick up your cross, an instrument of death and torture, and follow me. And where does he end? If we follow him, where does he end up? Calvary, of course. So when you look at 2,000 years, like it's well known, it's like one of those things that just rattle off our tongues. The church is watered by the blood of martyrs. Right. So from day one, there have been martyrs, and some of my favorites, of course, St. Isaac Jogues is my all-time favorite, but a new top fiver maybe is that 14-year-old kid in Mexico, Saint Jose Luis Sanchez del Rio. They slice his feet up and make him walk to his grave, and they say, you can save your life if you'll just deny Christ. No, Viva Cristo Rey. And then the captain, I just understood this. I've seen the movie, and it's just horrible to watch, right? Yeah. The captain didn't want the gunshots because people knew what they were up to, right? The people knew, but they didn't have guns. Why? Because the socialist government stole the guns, so they couldn't defend themselves, you stupid Democrats. Well, I mean, tell me that's not true. It's true. They're so stupid. Look what happened in Germany, in Russia, and in China. They took away the people's guns to defend themselves. Why do you think there's a Second Amendment? It's not because we're worried about burglars. No.
Yeah.
No, it's because we're worried about the government.
14-year-old to his death, and every villager's got
exactly. And wouldn't the villagers would have defended that poor kid, right? So they take him, and he doesn't want to cause the people really to get upset by shooting him. Right. So he tells the soldiers to stab him. Right. So they start bayoneting him, and he still cries out Viva Cristo Rey. Now, I don't know. Did you see the movie? Oh, you've got to see it. You have to. Yeah, so he still cries out Viva Cristo Rey. So the captain finally says, he's embarrassing the captain, because the captain realizes what an ineffective, effeminate, powerless jerk he is. Yeah. So he decides he's got to silence this kid because he's making him look bad. So he takes out his own pistol and shoots the kid in the head. Right? Saint Jose, I shouldn't say kid, that's disrespectful. Saint Jose Luis Sanchez del Rio.
Yeah.
He falls to the ground and the blood is dripping from his head because, a head wound, right?
Yeah.
And he takes his blood and he makes a cross in the ground.
Yeah.
And then he kisses the cross. And all those other soldiers then start to shoot him and they kill him. He's in heaven. Shepherds of the Church in America, you go watch that movie and you tell me which one of you resembles Saint Jose Luis Sanchez del Rio. You cowards. You cowards. You're afraid of getting sick.
And that's something that's lacking from modern society in general, though, is an affection for heroes and an understanding of sacrifice.
That's what martyrdom is, being heroic.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you have to shed your blood. There's white martyrs and there's red martyrs. Right. People say, oh, I'm feeling like a white martyr. They haven't shot me yet.
Right.
But, there's such joy in getting to meet you again and being with them again. That I can't say that these like those crazy women, the Tribune, I don't even read I wouldn't even know they wrote it, except people constantly bring it to my attention. If I'm annoyed by anything, it's like, don't tell me this. I don't need to know it.
Yeah, you don't strike me as the kind of guy that's spending a lot of time on Twitter reading.
Oh my gosh, who's got time for that? Not me.
I do.
Lots of time. All right, there you go. All right. Yeah. So anyway, martyrdom just means that you live your faith, and if the world will hate you. Yeah. And you're going to know if you're actually living your faith, because if the world isn't hating you. So all these people that are trying to be all nice with people, no, that's not what Christ has called us to do. If the world isn't hating you, then you're not doing your job. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people suggest, and I don't know if you want to accept the compliment or not, but I've heard a lot of people suggest that maybe this is your form of martyrdom because you've stuck to your beliefs and it's really been inspiring. And this is something people have been telling me on Twitter. They've been DMing me. They want you to understand that people are inspired by what you're doing because you haven't wavered in your message one bit. You've doubled down. And even as you're facing the consequences of this, they're asking you to resign. You're here on the stream and the message hasn't been compromised one bit.
Right.
Have you ever at any point had doubt in your mind?
No. Okay. What is 2 + 2? It's not a trick question.
4. I got that.
So if I harass you, you know what they're doing now in school?
Oh, I've seen it.
Saying that's so racist because you expect us to have the right answer. Are you kidding me? So if I start harassing you and saying you racist, are you going to doubt that 2 + 2 is 4? No. Of course not. So so when I speak the truth, and it's not my truth. Like I said, it's not my opinion. I don't have doubts about that. I'm pained by the lack of leadership that we have. I'm pained by the evil. Yeah. Right. But why shouldn't we? We should be. Right. So I don't. All the grief and aggravation that could. How can I complain when I have all these people sending me letters of support every day? Did I tell you that the postman said last fall, back in September, he said, I've never seen in my entire career one house get so much mail. And now, and it's actually been doubled up now than what was, it is way more than it was even September. So, okay.
That shows this is more than a media cycle. Because if this was just going to be a little media cycle, it would have burned out in a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month if you got on some podcasts or something. Right. But I mean, this has been going full throttle for a year. I mean, last time we were here was a year ago.
Which and that's a joke I make. Is that a year ago nobody knew my name, and so didn't I blame Scott for this? It's all his fault. I was just minding my own business down there in La Crosse, and Scott came along. So if it all went away tomorrow. Here's the way I look at it. Saint Bernadette, right? So our Blessed Mother appears to her, and hence Lourdes. And then afterwards, she was living in a convent. I kind of envy that. And I suppose they would want to send me away to some convent where people can't talk to me anymore, or I can't talk to them, more like it. But they asked her, well, why aren't you out on the speaking tour? And she said that, well, I'm just a dumb broom. And our Blessed Mother used me as a dumb broom for when she needed it. And what do you do with a dumb broom when you're done with it? You stick it back in the corner. So she said, I'm just back in the corner. It's okay. Very humble. I go back to, I didn't seek this out. I can tell you, it caught me completely off guard and by surprise 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And somebody came into it with Sunday morning mass. Mm-hmm. Somebody came in and said, well, you made the front page again.
Front page of what?
Oh, what? Yeah. And then there was like 2 days in a row. And then there's been at least 2, I think 3 now since then. Mm-hmm. That La Crosse Tribune, it's probably dry. It's like sticking the knife and twisting. Thank you, La Crosse Tribune. Thank you. You're doing my work for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's very true. It's very true. This isn't the last time you're going to be in Minnesota. I understand, later this month, we've got an event coming up on the 22nd. We do. And again, how can I be like questioning or getting discouraged or something like that when so many kind people are trying to help me out? Yeah.
Personally. Yeah. Not even just in the defense of the case, but I don't really have to worry. Well, am I going to be able to eat? Well, I have a bowl of cereal in the morning.
Yeah.
It's not a concern of mine.
Somebody asked that too. It's another question we have here. They asked how you're doing personally through all of this. And I don't want to get too personal, but I think you just sort of answered the question. People are supporting you. Yeah. People really, the kindness is beyond measure. And so I never worried about, listen, like I said before, when I came to La Crosse, it was the 3rd worst paid diocese in the nation. So I wasn't really worried about it then. If I was, I would never have come. So in the end, I'd be perfectly happy, like in a little, in college, I was in this rundown, beat up old house trailer kind of thing. Yeah. And there were holes, the roof leak, holes in the floor, pour salt in the tub so that it wouldn't freeze. And it was very cold in northern Michigan. And those are the most peaceful and content times of my life. So, wow. I guess, I don't, if those things were, maybe that's why people are afraid, because they think they're going to lose something. But if you have nothing to lose, what, you get me out of the rectory? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but that's what happens when you have a man who stands on his principles and stands on his beliefs. It's impossible to defeat them. What was it? Men Without Chests? C.S. Lewis or something? Did he say that? Yeah, that sounds like something he said. That nowadays modernity has made men without chests, referring to the Greek, because Greeks used to believe that your beliefs and your values were stored in the chest. Yes, okay. And men without chests are easy to defeat, but a man with a chest who has his values, impossible to defeat, because material success means nothing. It's stoicism, and as long as you can continue to believe what you believe, you've won. I think so. In that line, then, that it comes down to your integrity. Can you look at yourself in the mirror the next day? And I think so many people sacrifice their integrity on the altar of, like, faculties, for instance. On the altar of, at least I get to still be a pastor of my church, and I can sort of take care of my business. If they're not feeding them the truth. They're fooling themselves. Right. So I don't know how these people can get up. These shepherds of the church can get up in the morning, look in the mirror, and say, God loves me because I'm really feeding his family. What did Jesus say? Well, they're like sheep without a shepherd. Right. So I guess, people have been very kind to me, and that thing is coming up now. It's on the 22nd. Yep. In fact, you know what? I'm supposed to put like a 30-second. I think somebody asked me to do this. Is it for this? Yeah, 30-second something. Well, so it's like a commercial. Sure. So I want to come to the right place about this thing. That's kind of what we'll get into. We've been at it for well over an hour. It's been a very interesting interview. But before we close here, I do want to promote this event on June 22nd. It'll be a big day in the Twin Cities. You're going to be joining us at the White Bear Inn and Event Center. We actually have a website for this event, Stand with Altman. Is that what it says? Yep. Okay. And you can go to Stand with Altman. You can get tickets there, and that's going to be an in-person event. Father Altman's going to be there. You're going to, talk with the crowd. People can meet Father Altman. It'll be a wonderful event. And again, that's on June 22nd. Go to standwithaltman.com to get tickets to that. It's very exciting. All the funds generated from that event will go to Father Altman's Legal Defense Fund to, help support and keep the fight refilled financially. Keep the fight. You're keeping the people refilled spiritually, and they can keep you refilled in the bankroll. Just the joy of meeting them there that day. I mean, just to be amongst friends, because in the whole, there are more enemies than there are friends. So good. Thank you. I'm just thrilled to be here. Absolutely. We're looking forward to that event. As we sort of wrap up here, Father, could you lead us in a prayer? I can. Yes. Let us pray in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, send your Spirit down upon us and fill us with the grace to be witnesses of our faith unto martyrdom, red or white.
Let us be a light of Christ to the world and bring souls to you, which is our whole purpose in life. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Father, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
To our
God
viewers,
bless you always.
absolutely. Thank you so much. And to our viewers, remember, June 22nd, stand with